Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending where you're watching us from and when, where, why. Welcome to Blue Sunday. I'm Bangkok Joe. Joining me, as per usual, you can see him there on the screen in our luxurious Melbourne studios, and he's finally had his internet fixed. Is Big Vincenz.
Don't talk too soon.
No. And we thought that we'd bring him in from the start because he can't be with us for too long tonight. The one and only Mr. David Rees-Jones. How are you, Rees?
Yeah, good. Yeah, so unfortunately, I do have to leave a little bit early, so I won't be around for too long tonight, but hopefully we'll get across some good subjects and get some Carlton news out there and some footy news and whatever's happening.
Yeah, let's get some positive stuff out there. Hey, before we go on, let's do a bit of admin work. First of all, don't forget, the Jumper Punch channel is proudly sponsored by the Sporting Globe Bar and Grill at Northland. I always joke, BYO machete, but it doesn't seem to be funny after those two poor kids got killed a couple of weeks ago. It's not a joke. So I don't know. But I think Northland's pretty safe. Also, proudly sponsored by my company, Retired Working For You Tours here in Bangkok. Look out for a new name next year and also a few extra destinations. Don't forget, as we are a social media juggernaut, don't forget to like, share and subscribe on Facebook. You'll find us at Blue Sunday. And, of course, those of you watching at the moment, you will find us on YouTube at the Jumper Punch, not the Jumper Pinch. So don't forget, like, share, subscribe. We do it for you. Don't do it for ourselves. If we wanted to do it for ourselves, we'd just basically pick up a phone and chat. Anyway, that's enough of the informalities. How are we all going? David? Good week?
Good. You've got to be good when after a Collingwood defeat. So I think it's almost as good as a Carlton win. But
almost. Shut him up for a week.
And I did pick him, but I did pick a winner this week, so I'm very happy.
I know. You broke your duck. I was going to get to that, but you probably won't be around. And Vince, you've been okay? All good health-wise?
Yeah, just battling along, Joe. It's just depends on what day it is at the moment. But at the moment, I'm fine to come on, and hopefully we can get through the show.
That's right. Before we go on, just a big hello to all the people that we have in the chat, our usual suspects, Matula, Paz, the chairman and president of my fan club. We've got Enzo, we've got Chris Mast, Jai, Lana. G'day, Lana. How you going? Rocco Moro, Danny Finn, and more will probably join as we go along. So, guys, let's get along. Let's get a bit of Carlton news while David's on here. Chris Davies, is that his name? Who is our new GM of football? He was interviewed during the week. And the basis of his interview was all about lifting standards across the board. Excuse me. I've just taken a few slides of what he said. First one, premierships can't be won in November, but they can certainly be lost. We've got to be well planned. The coaches have got to be ready for when the players come back so that we don't waste any time because time is of the essence. Okay, that's the first one. Second one, I think it's as much about what they, meaning the fans, should see from me. They should see a person who is going to work hard for them, who is going to want the best for the club into the future, and who will be responsible for driving the team's performance. What do you think about those statements, David?
Well, they're pretty obvious. I mean, if you're coming into a job and a team like Carlton, you're going to say that sort of stuff. But I'm surprised the Carlton media sort of patch it. It just looks corny, doesn't it? And I don't know. You wouldn't be boxing up statements like that and putting them out because they are very, very obvious, aren't they? I mean, you know, what any person coming into any job is going to say similar type of things. So anyway, let's see how he performs more than and wait and see. From all accounts, he's highly credentialed and very, very good at his job. So that's the main thing. We get the best people in the best positions, and hopefully, you know, we get the best out of the players.
What about you, Vince? What's your thoughts on Chris? Have you heard anything? You got your ear to the ground?
Well, call me a cynic if you like, but I mean, it's an interview conducted by Carlton's own media department. You reckon he knew what questions were coming?
Do you think maybe he wrote them?
You reckon he prepared how to answer them? Look, at the end of the day, it's all a PR exercise. Carlton's PR machine operates very well. I mean, as much as I can't stand them because of how they operate, they actually do it damn well. It's all smoke and mirrors. At the end of the day, what matters is results. And whether it's Graham Wright or Chris Davies or anyone else they bring in, let's not judge them one way or the other until we see the results of their work. And that will only be evident to us once we start playing football games. But look, all of the messages are right. As Reece said, it's all pretty obvious. It's the sort of thing you're going to hear from anyone who comes into a new job. So, yeah, it makes you feel warm and fuzzy as a Carlton supporter, and that's the whole objective of this exercise.
Have you heard anything? Have either of you heard anything about him from the club, like good reports, bad reports, or?
Look, I've heard good reports about him from when he was Port Adelaide, when he was at Port Adelaide. But at the end of the day, it's a new club, a new environment, a new set of people that are governing him, and
to be perfectly honest,
I wish him well.
Joe,
I hope he succeeds.
Yeah. Joe, I mean, he's been there a couple of weeks. The players aren't there. There's no one about the place. He'd be getting to shake hands with everyone who's there, get to know people. Obviously, he'd be finding his feet, putting his feet under the chair, and he'd be getting to work as soon as possible and looking at, he'd be, pretty deep discussions with Graham Wright and possibly the coaches if they're around about. But so there's not much he can really do at this point in time. I mean, there's some behind the scenes stuff that the what ifs with some certain players and so forth. So they'll be discussing all that, but there's not a great deal he can be doing at the moment.
Well, I guess as he already is in football, he probably has an idea about Carlton Football Club, what they've done, like they haven't made finals and what expectations are. I'm sure they're not that much different from when he's at Port Adelaide. About everyone starts out the season wanting to play in the finals. Maybe West Coast didn't and Richmond didn't last year, but if you speak to the other clubs, every single one of them says they need to play finals. But like anything in life, the proof will be in the pudding. We'll sit here this time next year and we'll either be praising him or lynching him as we do at Carlton. Sack him, get rid of him, bring him out.
Yeah.
Now that's only the coach, isn't it? Just as long as he doesn't have the full support of the board, if we don't make the 8 next year, he'll be right.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about it. He's got a big job. He's got a massive job because he oversees the whole football department, which includes a lot of people, and everyone has to get it right. So, it's a massive job, but good, as Vince said, good luck to him. We hope he's the right person. We hope he is as good as what they're saying. And I know Port Adelaide were very disappointed to lose him. And they've lost a fair amount of football talent, I suppose, from their building at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see how that all pans out for them. Could pan out well, might pan out the other way.
Before we go on, people have been asking about Sebba. Unfortunately, Sebba's got some illness in the family, so he's going to try and make it later on. But if you're watching Sebba...
No promises.
Yeah, no promises, but just make sure your family come first. Okay, let's talk about some players that want to come in. So we've got Liam Reedy, who is from Fremantle. And then we've got Campbell Chesser requests a trade. And someone has put up, you don't accidentally go pick 14. A lot of clubs identified him as a top guy. He'll thrive in a new environment. Well, what do we say about that? Does either of you know anything about either Liam Reedy or Campbell Chesser?
I'll let you go first.
We don't know much about. you know, well, we don't know much about them. They haven't played much footy. The big fella from Freo, he's obviously, you know, going to be restricted in his opportunities. So I think with Tom de Koning going, he sees great opportunity and it is for a young ruckman to put your hand up. They normally take a little bit of time. So hopefully he's coming with a few years under his belt and ready to go. So that's if we do get him. I mean, there's that many rumours and that much happening out there at the moment, but it still shows that there are players out there who want to come to Carlton. I mean, you know, you listen to, you know, the opposition supporters, whether it be Collingwood, Essendon, Richmond, or whoever's out there at the moment, they're all calling Carlton a basket case, and you know, they can say whatever they want, and they've got every right to at the moment. But the way I look at it, things can bounce back pretty quick, and if we can get a few of these good young players, and you know, if they got the ability, I suppose, to be able to fill some gaps, then it's going to be only beneficial to us.
I don't know what this means. What's the Tucky medal? Does anyone know?
The Tucky medal? No.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that maybe that's something in the waffle? Could be. I don't know.
Medal. Might be a W. Yeah, it might be a waffle.
That's what I mean. It might be something in the waffle.
I've had it on some reasonable authority from some people in the know that Reedy's got a lot of potential, and what we seem to be doing with both of these guys is targeting Victorians who have been picked up by Western Australian clubs, have been there for 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it might be, and whether it's because of lack of opportunity in Reedy's case, or whether it's an interrupted start to their careers, as in Chess's case, through injury, we're targeting those guys and saying, hey, you can come back home if you want. We'll take you. We'll offer you a contract. And they're saying, yeah, that sounds good to me. I think I might want to come home. So I think that's the strategy with those two anyway. But
then again, there'd be a lot of other clubs going for them as well. So if they're picking us, it's a good sign if they're picking us. It's, so there'd be, a few clubs very interested in those type of players. And then the good thing is they're not going to cost you much early days anyway. So you get them for a year or two and have a good look at them. And if they do blossom, it's a massive benefit. And then you can tie them up later on down the track. So, the more you can bolster your stocks, the better off you are. But we need some real talent in there. So that's what's going to be interesting to what, I mean, I don't think the club are going to go into the draft hard this year. I think they're going to be looking more for ready-made players who are out there. So, so I think Carlton is going to get very busy in this period, in this trade period anyway.
Yeah, it's the Tucky medal is the best and fairest at Peel Thunder. So
I knew one of our Western Australian viewers would come good with the right info, and it's good to see them joining us again this week.
It is. The Waffles Brownlow is the Sandover medal, so it's not that. So talking about that, David, you're mentioning about players and who wants to go. That and the person that we're probably all sick of hearing about is Charlie Curnow. But this is what it's been said about him. Carlton don't want picks for Charlie. They want top-line players. That's their requirements in a trade. So realistically, some of the clubs are probably going to balk at that. They're going to say, oh, no, we don't want to. Like, let's say if he goes to Sydney, you're not going to take some guy that's played 20 games. They're going to want someone who's ready-made. They'll probably ask for a Goulden or Heaney or
Warner.
Warner. I mean, the Swans are going to tell you to bugger off. And if he goes to Geelong...
No, put it this way. If the Swans want him, that's what they have to do.
Exactly.
It's Carlton that can tell them.
So, we're not going to budge. So that's what they have to do. If they want him or Gold Coast want him or Geelong wants him, we're not picking up seconds blokes or, B graders for Charlie Curnow, who's on a 4 more years of contract. So that's why, the club is in they're holding all the cards at the moment, so they don't have to worry at all. I mean, they can sit back there and Charlie can come out and personally say he wants to go. I mean, he hasn't even done that as yet. So, you know, hey, I'm either way. I'd like to hope that Charlie could stay and play because at his best, you know, he's a huge asset and an absolute, you know. So I think, but he hasn't been at his best for quite a while. And that's the worry at the moment. And the real worry is, can he get fit enough at the moment? Can his body, his knees, really stand up? And if that's the case, there are other considerations that clubs got to have as well. If his body's not going to be able to endure the rigors, and I heard he didn't train a huge amount, this year because of knee soreness and so forth. So they're the other factors that'll come into it. But he'll go up and he'll have medicals and they'll be pretty rigid. But there's no doubt that he's got some problems with his knees. So whatever happens. But we hold all the cards. So don't even worry. Charlie Curnow's one. People talk to me about it all the time, and I just say I'm not the least concerned about what happens there, because whatever happens, it's status quo as it is now, or we win. So because we're got to win out of the deal, or it's because that's you don't put people on long-term contracts and then give them away for nothing. Unless they're buggered up or they're no good or their character's no good, whatever. But we hold the whip hand with any dealings to do with Charlie Curnow, and people get all excited about it and everything, and people want him to bugger off Charlie sort of thing. We don't want people who don't want to be there. It's not that. I mean, has anyone heard Charlie actually come out and say that he doesn't want to be there?
Look at the screen, Reece. Could you trust Charlie to give 100% if he stays?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, yes, absolutely. Okay. I mean, that's your job. That's your job. That's what you get paid for. I mean, you don't go out there and not try. I've never known a player to go out and not try. And you got to have pride in your own performance, and I think Charlie's probably disappointed with his own performance over the last year and a bit at least, sort of thing. He'd be one of those players who he'd be really wanting to. I mean, I think it was Dermot Brereton about 4 or 5 years ago said Charlie Curnow is going to be the number one player in the competition. He looked like he had the potential to really be that dominant forward, just that Kudafides type, unstoppable type of player. But through a number of circumstances, and injuries haven't helped, and he's getting his knee cleaned out consistently, during the year, at the end of the year, every year. So that's no good. I've been through all that myself, so I know. It's it interrupts your pre-seasons. If he could get a full pre-season under his belt, look out, 100 goal, you get 100 goal, player basically. So
I suppose Bo says Vossi's confirmed with that Charlie said he's open to a trade. I guess everyone says that, but
yeah, and everyone's open to a trade. There'd be a lot of other players who'd be open to a trade. I mean, look, put it this way. The one thing as a Carlton person you can turn around and tell anyone is whatever happens, we're not going to lose out of it. And that's the facts. We are not going to lose out of it because we're the keep Charlie, and which is great. And or we do a deal, or one of these clubs come to us, and if they and this is what happens, because if the clubs really, really want someone, and they know they've got to pay overs, they'll sacrifice, they'll sacrifice a player to get him in there. And the Swans would be derelict in their duties. I mean, they could say, well, maybe we do sacrifice a Goulden or a Warner or one of these guys, maybe we have to just do it. We have to because we need this player that much, that he's going to turn the place around and be the next Buddy Franklin type. If they're thinking down that track, they're going to realise that they have to pay a hefty price for it, and that's going to come with quality players to Carlton.
Okay, so Paz has asked, out of the three teams that we know, what player would we be happy with? What type? It doesn't have to be a name. What would we be looking for if we were going to get rid of Charlie? Like, would we be looking for a midfielder? Would we looking for a defender?
Oh, yeah. We put it this way: we've got plenty of holes to fill. So we'd be looking, small forward, midfield, and another tall defender. So we need, Weeders needs help back there. So we got plenty, but we the thing is we need A grade players. We don't need fill-ins. We don't need blokes who've got potential. We need the A graders. We don't need the blokes who are not there yet. So, and that's where you can look at, they may look at getting an A grader and one with a kid there who's got some huge potential at one of these clubs, and who might be something we can look forward to in the future as well.
Okay, so maybe we can get Sam De Koning from Geelong. Swap one De Koning out, another one in. What do you think, Vince? Bring in Sam De Koning?
Well, it might all depend on the result of next week's grand final as to which Geelong players are happy to go and try their luck somewhere else. Look, I don't know how Geelong does a trade. I really don't. They might be happy to take him, but I don't know that they're going to give up what's going to be required to satisfy Carlton.
No. They don't need
to. Sydney's got some midfield high quality talent that would satisfy us, but whether they're prepared to part company with those guys is another question. And Reece is right. I mean, you're talking Warner, you're talking Goulden, you're talking Heaney, maybe the Lizard, what's his name there? Blakey.
Oh, yeah. But they've got to want to go too, Vince. It's not a matter of us just saying,
that's right.
We want Heaney when he says, I don't want to move.
Papley's another one. But so there's probably five.
And then again, if your club's throwing your name around.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, and the other side of it, they're going to get a much bigger paycheck coming across than what they're getting at the moment. So there could be a bloke looking, and saying, well, geez, I've signed a 4 or 5 year deal.
Yeah.
That's probably what Charlie's looking at the moment. He's probably looking at it saying, what did I sign for? 800 or 900. I should be on $1 million. And everyone else is getting $1 million now.
Even though he hasn't really performed for 2 years.
Okay.
Look, I think also I wouldn't mind betting that Charlie's manager would have advised him not to come out publicly and make statements about wanting to leave or whatever, because they probably know that the chances are there's not going to be a trade. Yeah. And if you do that, then you really do alienate yourself with the Carlton faithful and your teammates and everyone else. So that's why I think Charlie's being very, very careful about what he says. And even Voss has admitted that he did say he's open to a trade. That's a pretty tippy-toe way of saying, I'm happy to leave this place. But at the end of the day, he has said that. He has said that he's happy to leave, which tells me he's not that happy to stay. But at the end of the day, he might have to just suck it up and get himself mentally right, because he wanted the big long-term contract 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And, mate, you wanted the security of 7 years, now you got to cop it.
Yeah. But as a player, he's pretty well liked around the place. He's a good bloke. He's not a bad bloke, not a bad person at all. He's these guys now they're really it's completely different. And I think over the next few years we're going to find more and more of these sort of things happening during the course of the year, and it happens in every other sport in the world. But we tend to look down on it. You know, we look down on blokes who want to leave, and the first thing we say is, "Oh, if you don't want to play with us, bugger off." You know, and
but with Charlie, all of a sudden, it's different.
Well, no. There's a lot of people out there saying that, you know, bugger off Charlie, you know, if you don't want to be there. And
there are.
I can understand that. And I can understand because we reward loyalty very, very much. Probably more than any other sport. We sort of, you know, any sport around the world, soccer, you know, gridiron, baseball. I mean, they're changing clubs every bloody turn. You know, I mean, you look at the Aussies playing basketball, and you can't keep track of where they are because they're in different clubs every bloody year. You know, so it's just part and parcel of what we're going to have to become more accustomed to, and don't worry about, you know, if Charlie has to stay. You know, he'll hopefully have a great pre-season, have a great year, and you know,
and enjoy the surf.
Well, he lives down near the surf anyway, doesn't he? He's down that way. So
I don't know. Hey, David, you've got to shoot off soon, don't you? So what we might do is, before Vince and I will talk about the other game, who's your tip for the Brownlow medal?
Brownlow, I think Dawson from Adelaide, the skipper at Adelaide there. I think I don't think he'll have a huge amount of people taking votes off him, which is, you know, what sort of helped Paddy. Yeah, can't even think of our captain's name now. I've lost his
Paddy Cripps.
Paddy Cripps. Jeez, I just couldn't think of his surname then. Paddy Cripps. You know, last year, I mean, he didn't have many taken votes off him, and you know, Adelaide seemed to be a pretty even type of team this year, and their big forwards did well, and that big forwards don't poll well. So I just think that, you know, I mean, the Dacos not winning it last year factor might come in. The umpires might have a little bit of sympathy there. He might get a lot of sympathy votes in there. Who knows? But I think one of those two will probably win it.
All right. So I'll put Dawson in just to pick Josh Dacos. Okay.
Yeah, Jordan Dawson for me.
Yep. And who's going to win? Hawks, Cats, or Lions? Which cat was going to win? Does a lion beat a cat, or does a cat beat a lion?
Look, I think Geelong will win it. I think I'm very suspect about Lachie Neale and his injury and being able to come up. You know, that's really going to be a tough one for them to make a call on that, and I'd be saying the right call is don't play him, but you know, it's just
I would say that
too soon. Yeah, I just think it's too much of a risk, and I think they need him. I think they need him against Geelong. So they've been terrific, Brisbane, and I think I really think this year the two best teams have got there. The two best teams over the course of the year have got there. I think it's going to mean, and there's a few blokes who missed last year for Brisbane, but I think with a lot of players coming towards the end at Geelong, a lot closer to the end, this could be their last chance. So, and I think they'll play like that. I think Dangerfield, I mean, he just tipped that match on its head and just ran at the ball. He ran at the players. He just was, you know, a Superman. He just put the Superman cape on and went to business, and that just inspired all the other players around him, you know, and really sparked them. And this could be his last chance. So you know, he won't be leaving anything out there this week. And I think, you know, right from that first bounce, Geelong's going to hit it pretty hard, and I think they'll be mighty hard to beat. I just think their best. Yeah, I think their better players are, given what, you know, Brisbane's got out. I just think their better players are better, and that's why they'll win.
All right. Well, on that note, David, we'll let you attend to your personal duties. You do have a life, not just here. So once again, on behalf of our audience and Big Vince and myself, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Our last show next week.
Enjoy the rest of the show and go the Mighty Blues. See you guys.
We'll see you on Sunday after the grand final, mate.
Yep. We'll know who's won.
Last show for the year. Yep.
All right.
Second last show, Vince.
Well, with Reese anyway.
Oh, but we might even ask him if he wants to come in after the trade period.
Oh, okay, right, okay. We'll see.
Okay, Vince, I don't think we'll go back to our normal viewing. We just had to do for Reese. I don't think there's much more that we can talk about with Carlton. Well, I hear they want Buka Kamas again, another a fill-in player.
I think we talked about him last week.
Yeah, he's probably for depth. Is there anything else that we need to mention about Carlton?
Well, not specifically about Carlton, I don't think. It's just a case of sit back, wait for all of the news stories to come, or the emails, or the text messages, or whatever us Carlton supporters
and rumours
get. All of that. But there's been a lot of people leave. I'm not sure about how many are coming in terms of the coaching staff and those sorts of people.
We haven't got many of the assistant coaches, have we? I think there's only just Ashley Hansen.
No, I think
and Jordan Russell.
Hansen's still there. Jordan Russell's still there. The midfield coach, I'm trying to remember his name. I always forget his name. No. Maybe someone in the chat can help me here. But I think he's still there. Aaron Hamill's obviously left. And a lot of the development coaches like the Geelong player and the Port Adelaide player, Brad Ebert.
Tim Clark, Vince, is the name you're looking
Tim Clark,
for?
that's the one. Yep, thank you for that, guys. So there's who knows whether some of those assistants will still be here. I mean, there could be further, departures before we start the preseason. Who knows? But that's all in Graham Wright's hands, and now assisted by Chris Davies. So we'll see how they work. Obviously, Graham Wright's gone and chased Chris Davies. He must have a lot of time for him, a lot of respect for him. So he's enticed him to come to Carlton, and he's accepted the invitation. So, I think it'll be just a wait and see, and let's see how it all transpires next year.
He'd want to be on a nice weekend.
Well, who knows. But when you look at, do you want to talk about the two games that were played on the weekend?
Well, I was going to get to that. I just said, is there anything more that we need to talk about with the Carlton Football Club?
I mean, I don't think so, unless anyone in the chat wants to bring up a topic or bring up some sort of
their lunch
issue that they think needs to be talked about. I'm happy to listen and look at the comments coming through.
I think we've spoken enough about Charlie Cannon.
Anyway, Friday, I'm a little bit all Carltoned out, to be honest. I'm just not all that interested at the moment.
Okay, then, Vince. So Friday night we saw Geelong play Hawthorn.
It's amazing the similarities between the two preliminary finals, Joe. I mean, they were both pretty neck and neck at half time in both games.
And then one team just overran the other.
Yeah, and one team sort of exercised their superiority in the third quarter and then kept that going for the rest of the game. But yeah, look, Geelong, obviously Hawthorn got off to a cracking start. Probably should have made more of it on the scoreboard in the first quarter.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Nevertheless, they certainly tried their hardest to take it up to Geelong, but it was a pretty even game, and I think there was only a point in it at half time. So then of course Geelong. Look, the one thing about Geelong is they've got gears, and if you look at Geelong's team compared to this time last year, and you compare the team that played in last year's preliminary final to this year's preliminary final, you'd have to say that the additions of some of those players that have come into the team this year have really improved them. And that's why they will go in as pretty hot favourites this Saturday. I think, as I said, they can change gears, and that's what they did to Hawthorn. It was, pretty clear in the second half that they were going to win. Hawthorn, tried a few times to come back and sort of kept the glimmer of light flashing in the second half there. You looked at how much time was left and how many goals they still needed to kick, and you thought, oh well, yeah, if they get a bit of a run on, they might be able to do it. But it was always going to be a really tough ask. And I think what Reece said about Patrick Dangerfield is spot on. You can
wasn't he fantastic? I hate it, but he just he just found another year.
Well, I would predict that if they do win next Saturday, and he holds the cup up as the Geelong captain, I reckon that will probably be the same result as what happened with Joel Selwood 3 years ago. I think that'll be the icing on the cake for Patrick Dangerfield. He's already won a premiership as a player. He's already won a Brownlow medal. All sorts of individual awards. And to then have a second premiership medal as captain, I think he'd probably say that's enough for me. I think I've done what I can do, and he'll probably hang up the boots, I would think. I mean, if he goes again in the pursuit of a back-to-back scenario, I don't know. I'd be surprised. But he may do so. You never know what some players do, especially if their contract's big enough. But, I think it'd be a great way to go out, just like Joel Selwood chose to go out on top 3 years ago. I think that's the ideal way to leave. I think he's already 35 or 36 years of age anyway.
34, and he's got another 2 years on his contract.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's got another 2 years left in his body. But anyway, the reality is I think it'd be a great way for him to go out. But anyway, that's his decision. Hawthorn, look,
good for next year.
It was a pretty successful finals campaign for them. They finished 8th in the end on the ladder, and they won their elimination final against GWS in Sydney. They had to travel there to Sydney and beat them on their home deck. Then they had to go and beat Adelaide Crows, who finished on top of the ladder on their home deck the week after, and travelled to Adelaide, and they did that. And, they fell short against Geelong, but that's no mean feat. And I reckon they've really moved forward again this year, added another dimension to what they've achieved from last year. So, I suppose the assumption is that, you go one better next year and you make a grand final. But, I mean, things don't always work out that way. And as I've heard Sam Mitchell say, progress is not necessarily linear. But if they can add some more players, they've certainly done that this year, which has helped them get to a prelim. If they can add some more players, get Will Day fit and firing, because I think they dearly missed him in the finals, they could very well make a grand final next year if all goes to plan.
Put it this way, Vince. They were probably like us a couple of years ago, struggling, how this year. So I think all credit goes to the coaching and probably the recruiting / development of the players. Lou thinks they'll fall next year. I got a funny. I don't know if they'll win a premiership because everything's got to go. Look, we should ask David this. Everything's got to go right in the year that you win the premiership. Of course it does. You have no injuries and no major injuries and all that. But we'll get to a few of the other points that people are raising about Stewart being injured and Lockie Neal when we discuss the game. But anyway, on Saturday, Vince, another cracking game again. At halftime, I thought, the Pies might take this out. The Lions were wasting some opportunities, and then lo and behold, bang.
Yet again, we saw one team, get out of the blocks quickly, and this one happened to be Brisbane, kicking 4 goals, 3 in the first quarter. To Collingwood's 1 goal, 1. And then, you thought, wow, what a start by Brisbane. If they can keep this going, this'll turn it up. They were the outsiders going into this game. And then Collingwood kicked 6 goals to nothing in terms of goals anyway. 6 goals to no goals in the second quarter. And, you probably walked away at halftime thinking, Collingwood's probably just going to run away with it here. They've worked Brisbane out. And Brisbane's fired their best shot, and that's it. Well, not the Lions, not the reigning premiers. They've got far too much class and far too much ability to just be walked all over. the benefit of having started so well was that even though Collingwood had that blistering second quarter, they were still only 13 points down at halftime. So it's not like the game had been blown away. So, within no time in that third quarter, they kicked 3 goals in about 5 minutes. And all of a sudden, you looked at the scoreboard and they're back in front again. And they actually outdid Collingwood by kicking 7 goals in the third quarter. Collingwood got 2, but, they were outscored by 5 goals in that third quarter to go from having I think a 13-point lead at half time to having only a 17-point deficit at three-quarter time. Now, again, 17 points, you'd say, well, Collingwood, the way they go, doesn't take them long to whittle back a margin like that. But you've got to hand it to Brisbane. They controlled that game when it really mattered in the clearances. Their midfield dominated, I thought, in that last quarter again, and they kicked another 4 goals to 2. And in the end, they won by 29 points. And Collingwood, of course, they always find an umpiring decision to bellyache about, and that was the one that cost them. That the umpires should never have paid, or in this case, they should have paid one in their opinion that wasn't paid.
Do you think that free kick would have turned the game?
No. I mean, Brisbane ended up winning by 5 goals. Look, at the time, I think Collingwood were 2 goals down. It would have brought them back to within 1 goal. But, as Craig McRae himself even said, I'm not going to use that as an excuse for why we lost. And any Collingwood supporter that latches onto just that one decision and make a case that would have totally turned the game in their favour, rubbish. And look, if you really look at it, you can understand why the umpire didn't pay. Because Starcevic, if you just look at him, he had his eye on the ball the whole time. The only time he raised his fist was, and he actually did hit the ball, was when he punched the ball away. So, but, other people say, oh, no, they've been paying that as front-on contact all year and rah, 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 rah. Well, you know what? Suffering your jocks, Collingwood supporters. You can bellyache about that one for the next 50 years like you have about the Wayne Harms, tap back in from the boundary line back in the 79 grand final.
And it has been proven.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, I don't think Collingwood were good enough in the end. And they, they obviously went in with some players under some fitness doubts. I mean, the whole Pendlebury thing was a really weird one, wasn't it? I believe that there was some rumours going around that he may have even pinged that in the warm-up. He had the option to pull out altogether so that they could get another fully fit player back in there. He decided to play after all, and then within 2 minutes, he's gone off and had to be subbed. So,
Eddie's had a go about Zorko ripping off the glasses. It's a really stupid thing to do, right? But big deal. I mean, this wouldn't have happened if
that happened to Bruce Gore with his headband, Joe.
Well, that wouldn't have happened if after the goal, Mason Cox hadn't got in his face. You kicked the goal, just get on with it.
Exactly.
But anyway, Vince, I've got a couple of nice photos I'd like you to comment on, right?
Okay.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, well, how many teeth? Now, what we should do is have a competition of all of our viewers and say, how many teeth are there in that photo? Real teeth. Mm.
Yeah.
But, they do tend to play well. I was saying back in June and July, I said, Collingwood are peaking very early here. They reckon they've got the whole season sewn up, but, you don't win premierships in June and July. You need to be playing your best football towards the end of August and going into September. And, Vince, they fell off a cliff in the end.
Vince, I've got an even better photo for you, right?
Okay.
Now, I don't want the audience to get sexually excited about this because it's very it's like Carlton porn, okay?
Nothing better, is there?
Oh, there's nothing better than watching Eddie Maguire sook. And look how red his face is. Looks like he's going to explode, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure that was taken last night. I think that was a photo.
Yeah, it is. That's from last night.
Was it?
From last night. Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, from last
I
night.
thought his hair had gotten a lot grayer since then. I think you might
It's from
find
last
that's
night.
an old
He might
photo.
have done a bit of Grecian like myself here, Vince.
Well, maybe. Look, at the end of the day, he wears his heart on his sleeve. He loves Collingwood. You can tell that by every bit of commentary he has about Collingwood's bias. But anyway.
Have you heard the rumour that someone's trying to put him up for the commission job of the AFL? God help us. Collingwood will win the next 20 premierships. If that happens.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm not that impressed with the group of people they've got on the AFL commission now. But, it's yet another example of a closed shop, boys club, even though it's got women on it. But anyway.
So, Vince, next week, Saturday, 27th of September at the normal 2:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time.
Yep.
I haven't moved it. Geelong versus Brisbane, and the winner gets that lovely little cup there.
Lovely big cup.
Tell me, Vince, who's going to win and why?
Well, Joe, I've given you a lot of logic already as to why Geelong should win and win easily. But I'm a bit of a romantic, and I love an underdog story, and I love the fact that Brisbane have made 3 grand finals in a row under Chris Fagan. That's a tremendous effort. You've got to commend not just him, but everyone at that club, the way they run the club. It as you said, everything's got to go right for you to make the big dance and to win a premiership. They got, perilously close 2 years ago against Collingwood. Just weren't quite smart enough, if you like, or prepared enough, I think, mentally for those last few minutes where there was change of lead, between the two teams. And when they were in front, they didn't know how to hold the lead. And when they were behind, they didn't quite know how to get back in front in that grand final. But last year, it was a magnificent victory after what I consider to be the very best finals campaign I have ever seen any team play in the history of the game. Last year, the Brisbane Lions finals campaign was impeccable. This year, you could even make the argument that they've had to do it even tougher. Their fixture has been, without doubt, the hardest of any team. I mean, when you look at Geelong's run into the finals, they were playing teams that were essentially, 10th or worse most of the time. For about 6 or 7 weeks, they had a really easy run. They were able to rest players like Dangerfield, who might have been a bit sore, or other older players that might have needed a bit of a rest. They were able to do that because of their fixture. Brisbane, no. And they've had to do it the hard way. And,
the Premier always gets the harder draw, Vince.
Yeah, I understand that. I do understand that. But, geez, when you look at all of the if you like, obstacles in their way, they've had to climb them all, and they've managed to do that. I mean, to have beaten Collingwood last night, I didn't predict that they would do that. And yet they were very impressive.
I thought they would.
Look, I don't underestimate their experience, and look, I'm tipping them by a point, but that's my heart ruling my head.
The Lions?
My head, yeah, I'm going for Brisbane by a point, but that's more a wish than it is logic. Logic would say to you that, Geelong wins and probably wins running away. But I don't underestimate this team. They've got a lot of real steel about them. And I've got to say, I was even impressed with a lot of players that came into their side in the last few weeks. Like, for example, that Ty Gallop, that number 22, the tall boy up the forward line, kicked 3 goals.
He only played 5 games.
He's only played 5 or 6 games. I mean, where do they find these guys? I mean, it's amazing how they've just slotted in and taken advantage of the opportunity that's been presented to them because of injuries to players like Eric Hipwood and Jack Payne and, Kitty Coleman and all of these top-line players that they're going to be missing. That's the one thing about Brisbane is that they've had some horrendous injuries as well during the year. And now it looks like Berry's going to be missing, although he hasn't been totally ruled out yet. Geez, it would be a hell of a risk to take him into the grand final with a dodgy shoulder that gets dislocated that easily. Lachie Neale's no guarantee to play. So yeah, there's a lot of question marks over Brisbane. But geez, anyone who loves to follow the underdog would be cheering hard for them, and I hope they win because I think they deserve it. But at the same time, if Geelong wins, it's hard to not say well done because Chris Scott is another master coach, and they've been extremely well managed all year, Geelong.
Yeah, sorry, just could do something.
That's all right.
I think the Lions. Look, I think it's going to be. Most grand finals are pretty one-sided, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to be a very close game because, if I was Brisbane, I wouldn't risk Neale, and I wouldn't risk Berry, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing. Look what happened with Pendlebury. You're one man down 5 minutes into the game.
Yep.
If you're going to play Neale, maybe as a sub, maybe, right? Because he may be good for a quarter, but I don't think he'll.
Yeah, but if you play him as a sub, Joe, and someone gets injured in the first quarter, he's got to come on and play a whole game. So
I know, but it's very rare.
That's not a great strategy either. He's either going to be fit or he's not. And I've heard Chris Fagan say, history has shown you don't go into grand finals with injured players. It just doesn't work. And I think he's going to have to be absolutely convinced by the doctors and the people that are in looking after Lachie Neale or Jared Berry that they're right to go and that they're definitely fit because
might get a few jabs.
I don't think Fagan will take the chance. I think he'd rather give some of these other young guys the opportunity and say, righto, you're fully fit, you go for it for four quarters.
To be honest, Vince, Cam Rayner had a pretty bad game, right? So
you reckon
Cam Rayner didn't do much
for the first half. I'd say he was quiet, but he was one of the guys that injected some absolute life into their second half. I mean, Brisbane kicked 11 goals to 4 in the second half and dominated. And one of the main reasons was guys like Cam Rayner. He took some excellent marks and kicked some great goals. He's a burst player. He's an impact player. He doesn't have to have 20 plus possessions to really impact the game.
But my worry is that I don't think Geelong have someone to stop McCluggage. He's a beast,
actually, if you look at the game, the qualifying final from 3 weeks ago, when Geelong played Brisbane at the MCG and quite comfortably beat them, that was the game where Rayner had a couple of goals just before half time as a result of being knocked over, and he probably put on a bit of a performance, and the umpire got sucked in. Remember that?
Yeah.
Anyway, they still got beaten by 38 points. In that game there, you'll find that McCluggage was absolutely tagged out of the game by Mullen from Geelong, the Irish boy. And since then, he's been brilliant. But I think he's going to have to, look over his shoulder this week and see Mullen coming towards him again because that clearly worked. So if you're Chris Scott, if it worked 3 weeks ago, why wouldn't it work again? But I think McCluggage is going to have to find a way to try and break that tag a lot better than he did three weeks ago.
Well, hopefully they do that. And I think Tom Stewart, I heard Geelong say they want to put a case to the AFL that they want to play him. But, under the protocols, he has to miss 10 days.
Well, I'm going to have you've touched on a topic that's going to be spoken about in a segment coming up shortly, Joe.
Okay. Anyway, but having said that, I think the Lions will win the game. I hope you're right. I think they have a better forward structure than Geelong. Geelong rely too heavily just on a couple of players. I watched Jack Martin and all my Geelong friends going, he's such a great player. I don't think he really did much. You can't rely on him to kick a goal, and he's in and out of the game. But then that who's that guy I can't stand? That little rover.
Stengel?
No, not Stengel. The other one.
Brad Close?
No. He kicks funny. He does those really stupid kicks.
A rover?
Yeah, he's a small forward.
Small forward? Okay.
Yeah.
Not sure. Maybe our chat can help us out here.
I can't. I can see his face. He has those. He used to have that stupid drip. Grant Myers.
You mean Grant Myers?
Grant Myers.
Oh,
yeah,
come on, Joe. He's a very, very skillful player.
I never said he wasn't. I said I can't stand him.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, he was quite on Saturday. So I mean, look, you never know. There's a couple of the Geelong players who missed playing in the last grand final who probably have a point to prove, and would dearly love to have a premiership. We forgot to ask David who he thinks is going to be best on ground. We'll get it off
as
him
in Norm Smith medal.
Yeah.
Well, look, I tipped the Norm Smith medal winner last year when I said Will Ashcroft, and he didn't let me down. So I'll go for someone else this year, but I'd love to see, as I said, Brisbane. I'm tipping Brisbane by a point. Who do I want to see win the Norm Smith medal? It normally goes to midfielders, doesn't it? I mean, I can say Harris Andrews all day long, and he's not going to get close. Mind you, he played a really good game on the weekend. He took that many intercept marks. But, I'd probably go with someone like actually, you know what? I'm going to go with Cam Rayner. There you go.
Okay.
Not going to go with a midfielder. I'm going to go with a player that can make a big impact on the game. And in fact, they're going to really, really need him firing if they're going to win. If Cam Rayner has a quiet game, I don't think that Brisbane can win.
I'm going to go with Matula.
Is Matula with us tonight? Hello, Matula, one of our favourites. How are you, darling?
Will Ashcroft for me. So Lions and Will Ashcroft. You've got Lions and Rayner. David's gone Cats, and we'll get his Norm Smith, and I'll get it off Sebba as well.
Kai Lohman's cut all his hair off. Yeah, he might be the one.
I didn't know who he was. I'm like, who the hell's that guy? And he has Kyle Lohman. I went, what the hell?
Yeah.
Totally different. Looks totally different. He's got a bit of bum fluff on his chin.
Obviously, cutting off all the hair didn't have the same effect on him as it had on Samson, Joe.
Well, might have. I don't know.
Samson lost all of his strength, remember, when he cut his hair off?
Yeah, he's a bit quiet.
Anyway.
I don't think there's anything else we need to talk about the grand final. I didn't get a slide, but you've mentioned it. Brownlow medal, Vince.
Yes.
So Reese has gone for Jordan Dawson from Dacos.
Excuse me.
Who do you think's going to win it?
I think Nick Dacos is going to win this year. And you've got to put your biases aside and just assess the whole thing objectively. He's been an outstanding player for 3 years now. Probably should have won one already by now. But I don't think anyone would begrudge him winning the Brownlow medal this year. He's been an outstanding player for Collingwood. I do think the main threats to him will be Jordan Dawson and probably Noah Anderson from the Gold Coast, although I think, Matty Rowell will probably take some votes off him. Of the others, there's players within the Brisbane midfield that have come and gone, but I don't think there's been a massive standout player in Brisbane's side. Fremantle rely a lot on Brayshaw and Sarong, so you can look forward to those two polling very heavily as usual, but again, they tend to take votes off each other. Hawthorn have got players that have come in and out of form all year. I don't think there's been a massive standout for them either. And of course, you've got Western Bulldogs who just missed out. Yeah, Western Bulldogs who just missed out on making the 8. Normally you'd say Bontempelli, but he's missed a lot of games at the start of the year, so that you'd probably assume will cost him. And GWS, I mean, again, a lot of hot and cold all year. Toby Green, they've got some midfielders there. I'll be very interested to see how many votes. What's his name? Number 17. Is it Callaghan? Finn Callaghan. He is a guy that I reckon is a potentially future Brownlow medalist. The way he plays reminds me so much of Buddy Franklin, as a matter of fact, on that left foot. Very powerful and, a real talent for GWS. But anyway, be interesting to see who wins. And as usual, all the footy heads will be watching until the last vote is cast, and all of the blokes will be watching the red carpet arrivals at the start.
Okay, so Vince, I've just got on to Sportsbet, and here are the current odds. So
Okay, righto.
Nick Dacos is favourite at $2.50. Bailey Smith from Geelong is second favourite at $4.70.
Yep.
Jordan Dawson is third favourite at $6.25.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got Noah Anderson from the Gold Coast Suns at $7.
Yep.
Then Matt Rowell is a favourite at $12. And according to AI, right, who has gone through all things, Champion Data has suggested Nick Dacos will get 34 votes. Matt Rowell and Jordan Dawson will get 26 and 24 votes respectively. And they say that Bailey Smith will come fourth. So there you go. So that's
what did Champion Data say last year when Patrick Cripps polled 45 votes? How many did they predict that he would get? At the end of the day, who knows the way the umpires have voted, unless you're an umpire.
Yeah.
And it's interesting.
We should get that one.
Some of those umpires got charged with, fraudulently putting in bets on the Brownlow. The one I didn't mention was Bailey Smith. Now, look, Bailey Smith has got a big chance to win. Make no mistake. But the one thing that worries me about him is he's got all the attributes of someone who would win a Brownlow because he's very, very noticeable. You know, he's got the blonde bleached hair, he's got the headband, he's got the flowing locks, he's got the white boots and all that. And you just notice him. Every time he gets the ball, you notice him. So you would think that if the umpires are as gullible as they've been in the past with players like that, they would probably give him a lot of votes. What worries me about him is his cockiness and his attitude and his mouth and his, just his demeanour sometimes. And I just wonder whether that puts up some umpires off. Because at the end of the day, they're human beings like anyone else. And if they've got to choose between, 2 votes to this bloke and 1 vote to him, they might say, oh, well, he's a bit of a loudmouth. I think I'll just give him the 1. You know
hey,
what I mean?
Vince, the Jesuits at Xavier didn't do a good job in controlling his mouth, did they?
No.
They certainly failed there.
Well, I think, he'd do well to become a little bit more humble, a little bit more gracious, a little bit more, reserved in how he conducts himself. And even stories like that one where he mouthed off at the photographer who was at Geelong training just doing her job, I don't think that serves him well. And everyone takes notice of it.
I know.
But anyway, if he ends up winning, it's because he has had a very, very outstanding year and the umpires have rewarded him for it.
Yeah, probably. As much as I hate to say it, I think Josh Dacos, because they talk him up.
Josh or Nick?
Nick. I get them mixed up.
Yeah.
And I think Matt Rowell will come a close second.
Okay.
So there you go. And for Carlton, I think
who's going to get the most votes for Carlton?
Hewitt.
George Hewitt?
Yeah. You?
Well, that's what should happen. But
what
I've found over the years is that some players really struggle to get the umpire's vote in Brownlows because they just don't look flashy enough and they don't look like they've impacted enough. Now, George is a hard worker. We all know that he's, played clearly, if he doesn't win our best and fairest this year, something's crook, something's corrupt. But will he get the most votes in the Brownlow? I'd like to think so. So I'll say yes to George Hewitt, but he's exactly the sort of player that may very well struggle to get Brownlow votes. And someone like Cripps still gets more votes than him, even though he's had a vastly inferior year to last year.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, I think we've done that to death. And what people are now. So I want people now, go and get some popcorn. Get ready. Where are we?
Oh, God.
It is now time for... Oh, hang on. Before we go, the tipping ladder. Sebba has hit the front. He got 2 last week.
Yeah.
And where's the sound? Sebba got 2 last week.
Yeah, I got
And
Geelong
he got
right, but I
1.
got Collingwood wrong. So
Yeah. So I'll have to get the votes off Sebba, but we'll see what happens.
We'll
anyway,
have to get his tip. We'll have to get his tip for the grand final.
We will. Anyway, it is now time for Vincenz. And I do have some music, but I don't know what's happened here. I think Rocco's taken some stuff out. But anyway, so it's time for the Vincenz.
We don't need music. What we need is the sound of a volcano erupting in the
Well, that's what I've got. I've got the sound of a volcano erupting. But I don't
Excuse my cough, everyone. Sorry about that.
I don't know what's happened to it. So I'll have to look. Anyway, anyone, go and get your popcorn. Turn the volume down.
All of you Italians out there armed with your espressos, and as Matula's just said, she's armed with her Greek coffee. She said, "Let it rip." Okay, look, I hate to put him in the firing line again. No, I don't. I actually love it. The AFL, you got what you deserved. You didn't make the bye in the week between the preliminary final and the grand final, which makes a lot of sense if you want to give, players who have suffered a concussion enough time to recover, go through the 12-day protocols and all that bullshit, okay, and still play in a grand final. Now Tom Stewart's going to miss out. Why? Because you morons didn't put the finals bye before the grand final. You put it at the start of the final series when we've all got to go through a week of total boredom. And, you try and promote it as the start of the, AFLW season and all that sort of jazz. But even that's been started a lot earlier than that week. So I don't know what you're trying to achieve. And now you've got Tom Stewart going to miss out on a grand final because of it. So I hope you're happy. It was bound to happen. I was waiting for it to happen. I was actually saying to some friends of mine, you watch, someone will end up going down with concussion this week and won't be able to play in the grand final. And lo and behold, it happened. And it's wrong. It's just wrong. And I wouldn't mind betting that that's one of the first things that Greg Swan changes next year and insists on the final series starting a week earlier and then after the prelims, then have a week where you can celebrate all sorts of things in relation to AFL football. Have your Brownlow medal. Have all of your other celebrations in relation to football, and then have a nice long lead up to the grand final, and give both teams an opportunity to get their best possible squad up and running for the grand final. That's what we want to see. The interesting thing, Joe, is that 4 years ago, when the grand final series was played in Adelaide and Perth, for example, when the grand final was played in Perth, the prelims were played 2 weeks before the grand final. They did do exactly what I'm suggesting. They had a week off after the prelims, and then they played the grand final the week after. But since then, they haven't continued with that. And to me, it's just crazy. But anyway, well done, AFL. Just add it to the list of total failures that you can attribute to yourselves this year.
So, Vince, just to make it clear, some people are misunderstanding. You don't disagree with the 2-week protocol. You disagree with when the bye is. Is that right?
What I'm saying is if you're going to have these 12-day protocols, right, and the so-called medicos suggest that that's how long a player needs as a minimum to recover from a concussion. Okay, I accept that. I'm not going to challenge the medical profession in that respect. So if you accept that that's what's required for a player to adequately recover from a concussion, I believe that there should be the 2 weeks in between the prelims and the grand final. And, to To have it only 1 week later and have players missing out because they happen to have been tackled by a player that rode their head into the ground, it's tragedy. I mean, you got to feel for Tom Stewart this week, not being able to play in that grand final. Now, you might say, oh, well, it's not that bad. He played in the Premiership 3 years ago. Yeah, okay. But there's other players that have missed out on grand finals where it's been total heartbreak. So, look, use some common sense, for Christ's sake. And the only other thing I'm going to say is, I'll say it up front now, there's going to be about a 5-minute period in the grand final coverage next Saturday that I'll be walking out of the room and not watching, and probably making myself a cup of coffee or something, and I'll probably put the volume switch onto mute. And once Uncle Colin's finished doing his overpaid bullshit, then I'll come back and I'll watch the game.
Yeah. I was watching the game with
I'm
two
over
Americans.
it. Totally and utterly over it. It's been going on through the final series again, and I don't know.
I was watching the game with 2 Americans, Vince, and they asked me, "What's this?" And I had to explain to them why they do it. And then they sang the national anthem, and I said, "Do you guys have all this in America?" And they said, "Well, yeah, we usually sing the national anthem, but we don't understand why we need to be welcome to our own country." And I said, "Don't get me started. I don't want to." But when I explained it to them, they still had. They just sat there, like, okay. They couldn't believe it.
And I'll also say one thing about the national anthem and the singing of the national anthem. And I think I might have made this point once before on the show. Everyone out there that's listening right now and watching, take note on Saturday how many players are singing the words of the national anthem when it's being played. How many players are patriotic enough to, A, know the words, learn the words, and sing the words, and not be ashamed or not be embarrassed, even if they're the only one out there singing, right? That's one thing I love about Americans, how patriotic the majority of them are. They've got just as many lunatics that are trying to tear the country down as well, just like we have over here. But the ones who are patriotic, my word, are they inspirational? The way they love their country, they love their flag, they love their national anthem, and they're so proud of their heritage and their history, as we should be. And, I'll be very interested to see how many players on each side are singing the national anthem when it's being played. I don't think you'll need too many fingers on each hand to count them. But anyway, let's see what happens.
Anyway, all right. Just hang on. So that brings us to your bet of the week.
We've been sliding down the big slippery pole.
And I didn't want to put that picture of you, Vince. I thought that was very harsh. But of course, there it is.
Oh God,
it is.
Yeah.
Big Vincenz. He's a loser. Geelong to defeat Hawthorn.
I made that. You know what, everyone? Come at me with all of your criticism, and it's fair enough too, because I was stupid enough to tip Collingwood instead of Brisbane, wasn't I? Well, we got Geelong to beat Hawthorn, and that one was right. But we thought that Collingwood, with the week's rest and everything going for them, a big home crowd would get over the Brisbane Lions, who have had to do it tough. But gee whiz, didn't Brisbane impress? So we've lost that bet. We're back to $150 in our bank account, Joe, which is $50 more than we started with. So I thought, grand final week.
And can people just please, it's pretend betting. We don't put the bet on, okay?
It's all just for a bit of fun.
It's just a bit of fun. So your grand final bet, Vince, is?
Well, chances are it's going to lose. We'll end up with the same $100 we started with, Joe. But I've gone for Brisbane in my tips by a point. So what I thought I'd do is we go for Brisbane at the line. So that gives us 2 goals as well to play with in terms of if they get beaten by Geelong. If Geelong beat them by no more than 12 points, we still win the bet. If they beat them by more than 12 points, well, then we've lost. But that's $1.90, $50, and $1.90 will give us back $95. If we win, we've got $195 in the account, which is $95 more than what we started with. And if we lose, we're back to what we started with, and it was all a bit of fun.
It was all fun. All right. So, Vince, just to let people know, we will have a show next week after the grand final.
We will.
It'll be our second last show, given that we intend. Well, I'm just telling you this. I think what we'll do is we'll have a wrap up when the trading period has finished, and we'll assess whether people are happy with what we got or people are unhappy with what we got, and only then will people know if we've got rid of Charlie or whether we got this person and whether we got that person, and then so we'll wait till. I don't know if we want to wait till after the draft, or do we want to do it after the
we'll discuss it, but the thing is this: if we do the show following the grand final, and we'll dissect the grand final with David Rees-Jones next Sunday. That's on Sunday, the 28th of September. Okay, at 7:30.
Yeah.
On right here on the Jumper Punch channel. The following week, if we do a show on the Sunday night, it'll only be 2 days into the trade period.
No.
That starts on the Friday.
Yeah. So the trade period runs from Monday, the 6th of October to Wednesday, the 15th of October.
Yeah, but the free agency starts on the 3rd and goes through till about the 12th.
Yeah, but let's wait till both periods are finished.
So what you're saying is we're going to have a week off after the grand final edition.
Okay. We're going to have maybe going to have a couple of weeks off.
Okay, so then you want to come back on the 18th?
No,
after everything's over.
I don't know about you. Just hang on, I'm trying to get the calendar up.
Excuse us all while we're doing
it's the 19th, Vince. You can come back on the 18th, but the Sunday is the 19th.
Oh, I beg your pardon, 19th. Okay.
So we'll come back on the 19th and we'll discuss free trade and we'll discuss what's happening.
So we'll discuss all of the trades that have been completed and all of the free agency moves that have been made.
Yep.
And how it's affected our squad, all the players that have come and all the players that have gone.
Yeah, we won't do anything about the national draft because, unlike I don't know about you, but
that's in November. That's not till late November.
I don't know enough about the players that will come. We'll just have to. I think the Jumper Punch boys have got something planned for that, so we'll leave it. People have been asking Bo about whether he's doing a grand final stream. So, Bo, if you want to let us know, he says I have a decision, but I don't know what that means. So maybe you might need to look at his Instagram or watch Facebook to see what happens. Vince, it is now time for the big Vincenz Cheerio segment.
Well,
go for it.
One Cheerio that I should have made last week that slipped my mind, but I'm going to mention it anyway this week. Even though he had his, hang on, I'll just have my earpiece go.
Anyway, Bo's doing a live stream.
Oh, he's doing a live stream on the grand final.
So
on
get
Sunday.
along to it.
Well, there you go. Join him on that. Marcello Sebastiani had his birthday on Tuesday, so all the best to you, Mars. He's worked extremely hard this year on the Jumper Punch show. And, he's done even little segments like, previews and reviews on our channel as well after, before and after games. And he's really stepped up, and especially since his cousin Paul has had to step away due to his work commitments, from the Jumper Punch altogether, really. If anything, he's only going to be making, guest appearances every now and then from now on, I think you'll find. Unless something else changes. But, Mars, well done, mate. 31. And, onwards and upwards, mate. And all the best. I hope you had a great day on Tuesday last week. And other than Mars, I don't have anyone else. No.
You don't have any? Come on.
No one else.
No one else.
Well, who do you want me to? Okay, who do you want me to say hello to?
Well, I don't know. No, you must have a cheerio. Someone's birthday, a
Well,
birth.
my partner Tanya's sister, Annette, turned 60 yesterday. There you go.
Well, there you go. See?
Hello, Annette. Yeah, but she's a Collingwood supporter.
Should
I'm only
be
joking.
crying.
No. I don't think she'll be crying about not getting a cheerio from me. But,
no, about Collingwood losing.
Oh, about Collingwood losing. Yeah, well, we had a gathering for her yesterday, amongst family and friends for her 60th, and it was right at the time that the game was on. So, I don't think she was too happy about the result, but she's not one that's going to, cry over it.
All right, so that brings us to the end of the show. Once again, we'd like to thank David Rees-Jones, who really passionate about the club and gives up his Sunday evenings to spend even an hour or half an hour with us. And I know he's busy and it's quality time. He's very
he had a bit of a commitment tonight that meant that he had to make it a short one tonight. But next week, don't worry, he will be here to dissect the grand final. And if there's any other Carlton news, we'll talk about that too. It'll be essentially his last show with us next Sunday night. So don't miss it. Don't miss that.
We might try and get him on for after the draft, but no promises. No promises.
Yeah.
So just a bit of admin, guys. Don't forget, you can find us on Facebook at Blue Sunday. So please, and also if you're watching us where you are on YouTube, at the Jumper Punch, like, share, and subscribe. Subscriptions and likes and sharing it makes the channel bigger, and we do it for you. It helps grow the channel, so we really appreciate everyone giving us their time.
Joe.
Yes.
You mentioned something last week that I think we ought to take note of, and in the interests of fairness and equality and diversity and all of those buzzwords that I can't stand. I think we should mention the AFLW Carlton women's team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they got absolutely belted yesterday by the reigning premiers North Melbourne at Arden Street by 53 points and got taught a football lesson. But, North Melbourne's going to do that to a lot of teams this year.
I think they will.
The difference in quality of football between sides like North Melbourne and Melbourne and the rest of the competition at the moment seems to be huge. That's not to say that those teams can't lose occasionally, but
they haven't lost a game for like a year and a half.
Well, North Melbourne haven't lost yet this year. I don't know. I can't remember how many games they lost last year, but they are dominant. And they even had a player that got 44 possessions yesterday. I think Ash Riddell, number 7, I think. Okay. Unbelievable talent. And, to watch them play is actually enjoyable and entertaining. But most of the other teams that I watch play, I've never heard myself swear at a television set so much because of things like drop marks that are just elementary, kicks that, miss the ball altogether, hand passes that just go straight to the shoelaces. I mean, that happens in the men's too to some degree, but not to this degree. If you look at the disposal efficiency in the women's game, they've got a long, long, long way to go. I worry for the competition. I actually think there's fewer and fewer people watching it. There's fewer and fewer people going to the games. The standard, because there's 18 teams in it, the standard of player that they're getting to play AFLW is dropping. And I actually fear for the future of the whole competition. Now, no doubt the AFL will keep pumping. What is it that's costing them? It's costing them something like $40 or $50 million a year just to keep it afloat. How they can keep justifying that, I don't know. But, I've tried to get into it. I've tried to watch it. I've tried to support it. I've tried to, follow the players and get interested and enthusiastic about it. But, gee whiz, it's hard sometimes. I don't know about what our viewers think, our all of our fans in the chat there. Tell me what you think. I mean, I do want it to succeed. But, geez, I'm finding it harder and harder to see how it is going to succeed. And I don't want to be negative. I don't. And they have all these shows on Foxtel like, WD Brief, and you've got Kelly Underwear there. I mean, what's her name? Kelly Underwood hosting shows, that talk them all up, and they've got special guests and all that. Yeah, and I understand it's all a PR exercise. But, gee whiz, a long way to go. Long way to go. It's going to take a lot of work to get it to a standard that people are going to want to go there, pay money, and watch.
Hey, Vince,
other than the people that do it now out of sheer loyalty or out of sheer, blind faith in the game or blind faith in their team.
Vince, I've got a cheerio.
Oh yeah, who's that?
I want to send a cheerio to all the Australian athletes that are representing our country in Japan at the World Athletics Championships. We've won 3 bronze medals, so I know that's not great, but hey, it's good that they're all out there, and a lot of them are doing their personal best. So it's good to see that athletics isn't dying. I know a lot of kids these days are too busy with their heads in the computers or playing games on their phones or looking at TikTok or too busy getting Instagrams and trying to get their photos. So
there was a lot of excitement. There was a lot of excitement around Gout.
Mate, he's only 17, so
he's only 17. He's a long way to go.
He got plenty of time, but it's so the final night of athletics is tonight. I don't know about you, Vince, but I've been watching it every day because it's in our time zone here. I'm in Bangkok and Japan.
I've been watching bits and pieces of it, not for extended lengths of time.
Yeah, it's been good.
As a golf enthusiast, I want to wish Minwoo Lee all the best tonight in the French Golf Open. He's got the equal share of the lead with 1 round to go, and I hope he can put a decent round together and take out the title tonight. It'll be a fantastic victory if he does. Minwoo Lee, he's a fantastic young talent, and his sister today, Minji Lee, was in the final round of the Korean LPGA tour event, the Hana Financial Group Championship over there in South Korea, and she goes back there every year because they sponsor her. And she almost pulled off a miraculous victory. She ended up losing in a playoff, in fact, on the second playoff hole this afternoon, and was very gracious in defeat. An absolute class act. So Minwoo Lee and his sister Minji Lee, if you follow golf, you can't go past following that brother and sister team. They're just awesome. So, as a golfing enthusiast, Minji couldn't quite pull it off today. Hopefully Minwoo can pull it off tonight.
That's it. All right, so on behalf of myself, Big Vincenz, Sebba and David, have a great weekend and go Blues, and I hope you have a great week. Not only
go
weekend,
Blues.
And I hope your team wins next week.